Welcome to Crossroad Connection. We're speaking out for those left unheard. My name is David Schuring. I'm the president of Crossroad Bible Institute and the host of Crossroad Connection. I have a special guest in the studio with me here today. His name is Leon Alderman from Alpha
Prison Ministries.
Alpha Prison Ministry. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you here. Well, we're anxious to hear all about Alpha Prison Ministry. You're headquartered here in Grand Rapids, correct?
We are here in Grand Rapids, and all of our ministry is done here in Southwest Michigan.
Okay, so you're reaching out to returning citizens or people who are in prison?
Well, both.
Right.
Our purpose as a ministry is to evangelize and disciple men who happen to be prisoners and former inmates. And David, we do that three ways. In-prison Bible studies.
Okay.
We have about 200 inmates in weekly Bible study in 6 prisons here in Southwest
You're
Michigan.
in prisons, not jails?
We are strictly a prison ministry.
Okay.
There's another ministry that is quite effective.
Forgotten Man Ministries.
Forgotten Man Ministries.
They hit the jails.
They hit the jails.
And
we
you
hit
are
the
in
prisons.
6 prisons.
Here in Southwest Michigan.
And you have, what did you say, 250
No,
participants?
About 200 inmates who partake in this weekly Bible study conducted by our 40 to 50 volunteers.
And they are the ones that go in and they lead these Bible studies face to face.
Correct.
How do they become volunteers?
Well, they contact us. We get about 3 or 4 men who call or stop by the office every month, and we will interview them and talk with them.
Have a vetting process?
Well, the first question is, have you read our statement of faith?
If they're teaching, that's probably helpful to know that right up front.
And if they have, my next question is, do you agree with everything in the statement of faith? If
That
they
follow-up
say
question is important.
If they say yes to that, then we'll arrange a face-to-face meeting and see where God is leading them.
Do the teaching that they do you have like a teacher's manual for them that guides the teaching so that's similar, or does everyone do what they want to do?
Well, we use a set curriculum. First one is one-to-one discipleship. It's a 9-lesson series. Comes out of California. We've used that for at least 20 years. But what it does is it gets a fellow grounded in the basics of Scripture. How to know you're a Christian, how to study the Bible, how to pray, how to give your testimony. So when an inmate is done with our volunteer and the Bible study, hopefully he will be able to get with another inmate and have a multiplication effect.
Yeah, right. That's when true discipleship is going on, when the disciples are making disciples.
Exactly.
How long does a course take?
Well,
how many weeks?
This one-to-one discipleship Bible study is 9 lessons.
So 9 weeks?
Well, it all depends on the man himself, the inmate himself. We encourage our volunteers to be flexible. It's possible, who knows, he might have gotten a Dear John letter that week, or maybe some information of death in the family. He may want to talk about that and discuss that. And we tell our volunteers, all right, we're in no hurry.
Right.
Talk and relate to, because it's about relationships. And
so it's not a strict time schedule because you want to meet the needs of the moment.
Exactly. And there are different educational levels, too. I mean, some fellows are very articulate, and they know how to study. And for some, they're looking at a Bible for the very first time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had guys who don't know that there's 2 testaments in the Scripture.
Right. Well, this sounds fantastic. How many are usually in a group?
Well, it's one-on-one.
The teaching is all one-on-one.
Optimum one-on-one, because what we want to do is have, when that volunteer is done with that prisoner, we want to see that volunteer and we want to see that prisoner get 2 more men into the Bible.
Now, what do you do? Because this is a history with how Crossroads started and so forth. they had started 30 years ago with the idea to disciple one-on-one with people it was in the jail, Kent County Jail, but they found that you could be working with someone for several months, but then they get transferred or they leave. Does that
does happen. It doesn't happen as much as it used to. Things
Okay.
may have settled down in Michigan Department of Corrections, but it does happen. And if it does, well,
They might go to a prison where you have the program
if
also
not,
happening, right?
if they don't, then we give them a Crossroads enrollment form and say, when you go to Kinross, here's a stamp, here's the enrollment, and sign up
Right.
with these guys.
Well, we're delighted to partner with you, and that's what we have found, that our program doesn't compete with other programs or get in the way of them, but it sort of fills in the gaps.
It does. It does it very well.
So that's what we like to do. So we can, because with that one-on-one, what you guys do is absolutely terrific. But sometimes they do get transferred around for various reasons, and so we can stick with them for 10 years. Because when they go to another place, they don't necessarily have Alpha Prison Ministry resources there, huh?
Well, there are 33 prisons in Michigan. We're only in 6.
Yeah.
So
Is the program, okay, so it's, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought that was like a class situation, but it's one-on-one mentorship.
sometimes it may be a class situation in that optimum, we like to have 3 or 4 volunteers. Right now, we only have 1 volunteer in Muskegon. He's a retired school teacher.
He can only have so many one-on-one meetings.
Right. So in Muskegon, right now, what our volunteer there is doing, he's training like 6 or 7 guys.
To help pick up
Help pick
all
up
that
the
work.
slack. But again, it helps that he's a retired school teacher.
So he's an old hand at teaching.
he's an old hand at teaching. So
Do the mentors have to go through any training,
um,
or you just throw them into deep water?
well, on our mentor application, there's James. It says Alpha Mentor application. It has James 1:19. Be swift to hear, slow to speak. So basically, if a fellow can do those 2 or 3 things, slow to anger,
Be a good listener.
slow to speak,
Yeah.
be a good listener, you qualify to be a volunteer for Alpha Prison Ministries.
Well, that's the key to counseling. A good counselor helps people to feel that they're being listened to, and people in prison don't feel that anybody listens to them. Correct?
That's correct.
They don't think anybody cares about what they have to say or what they're experiencing. They feel totally disrespected.
Well, the main purpose of a mentor is just to be a buddy, a Christian buddy, to be a step further along in the maturing process, and to be a friend.
And thank you for being with us this week on Crossroad Connection. My name is David Schuringa, and I've been chatting here with Leon Alderman from Alpha Prison Ministry here in West Michigan. Thanks for being here with us, and we hope to see you again right here next week.